there, but front floor is around and there's a garden and Frederick Douglass already 10 beds. I disseminate the information on how to become a registered gardener there. But I'm a rough carpenter, so I wanna build it out. But I also, because of, people that will participate, they have a lot of knowledge, about growing. So growing is not my forte,
Okay,
but they say if you build it,
yeah,
people will come
yeah,
and I'm gonna learn along the way.
that's awesome. I
So-
think the most important part for your beds is setting off that. If you're building it over
I'm
soil.
building 6 styles of beds.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have the whole wall, 160 foot, 160 foot, with wood chips, but finish what you're saying.
But creating that layer so that they don't make it through the soil with whatever type of bed you're planting. Either placing it over a concrete slab or placing it over something that was you can create, right? So you can create a gravel base with a mesh base.
Yes,
You place it on top of that, not directly.
right,
That's your
yeah.
That's it.
Gravel, mesh under, landscape, cold inside of the bed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and make sure wherever you're placing the beds, far away from any garbage.
It's like near the garbage there,
Okay, thank you.
8-10 feet from the garbage dump site because the space I have is so long, but. Listen, we talked about using natural remedies, mint, peppermint, cayenne pepper, so forth, every couple of days, spraying. And stuff like that.
Great.
We even talked about growing mint. So, yeah, I'm aware of some of those things, but I'm here. So-
Thank you for coming. Nice to meet you, Mr. Tina. But I don't know, I'm gonna follow your lead about when you wanna start and we're just start us off. And I'm ready to start when you are.
Okay, since you have that list of guests that RSVP, do you want to give them a little couple of more minutes?
I think maybe 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay.
Respect this time.
Of course. I agree. I think 5 minutes is fine. Martha, do you mind when you get a chance? It doesn't have to be now, emailing me the presentation so we can put it on the website?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can email, so we have like a standard deck that we're allowed to share.
Mm-hmm.
So it won't say like community book 12, it would be very general.
Okay.
We'll share.
All right. You're welcome.
All she has to do is call me, I'll finish it.
It's looking pretty rough. Yeah.
So sometimes second day over, but it's better than. I'm sorry. Yeah, 1 ounce of water, 1 ounce of, usually rats, and they'll survive, they'll thrive.
I mean,
Yeah.
they evolved. Sure.
I had an issue at 830 Amsterdam, Frederick Douglass, it's a standalone, but it's right next to Frederick Douglass. I built the beds, but a lot of residents, because of lack of knowledge, were saying, hey, these gardening beds are bringing the rats. I'm like, no, you throwing stuff out the window,
Yeah.
people feeding, blah, 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 whatever, just because you see them around beds.
It's, we're living together.
It didn't have soil or anything, just the, wood structure. Yeah, so we weren't growing anything yet.
People are the hardest to change that.
Yeah.
And
Human behavior is the hardest.
that is, I feel like the key. Because nature's always just gonna evolve to
Yes.
us.
That's why, we're out here, we're trying to give people little tips and tricks and little bits of knowledge that hopefully start to try to change their behavior. Or at least put the idea in their head, right? Put it in premeditation.
I've been a community activist since 2007 in public housing, like at 830 Amsterdam Avenue. I've lived there for 11 years and having a fire last year, I'm still recovering. The mindsets of the people in that building and I was creating the beds, inviting them to join me and so forth. It was like a group mindset and they love being an adult, but still expect, still giving their opinions. I decided to transfer to another building And I've been there since made the new building, and since then I've signed up or people interested in the community garden, in the location, about 30 people already.
Wow.
So I'm out there talking to people and I like the mindsets that are there, they're open-minded. And hopefully we'll get people come into the Rat Academy trainings, especially for gardens and so forth. So, yeah.
Thank you, that sounds like great work. Oh, and I will give you my card, my name is Martha and I live at two.
Thank you very much, man. Appreciate this. Yeah, I'm gonna need some backup, you know.
If you're at Douglas, there's a lot of support at Douglas, so we can even come out, look, yeah.
But I will, because as I said, I think I said to you before, the general manager of Niter, years ago, they never said it to me, they don't like pallets, wooden pallets. But our way around it is, like we just discussed, rat proofing it and turning it into art. I guess some people just left it plain. Just
I guess
left it.
depending on the art, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You wanna start it off?
Sure, I'm not,
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Rat Academy. This is Community Boards 12 and the New York City Department putting together this training. So at the end of the training, there will also be raffling bins. So welcome.
thank you, Paola. So, my name is Martha Bernalba, I'm with the New York City Health Department, the Office of Pest Control Services. We partner up with community groups, other agencies, elected officials, community boards. Your very small block association, wherever the interest lies, we love to collaborate and we love to come out to the communities. We love to come out in person, although we also do things virtually. To get this very important information out there. So today we'll talk about, oh, sorry, Paula, do you have a clicker?
Sure, I do. I think it's right.
Thank you. We'll talk about a little bit about getting to know your pest. So we'll talk about rat biology and behavior. We'll go into why we're seeing rats in New York City. Then we'll talk about what the New York City Health Department is doing to control rats. And throughout the throughout the presentation, I'll also be talking about resources. To start, a very important resource if you are in the community, if you are in the neighborhood, is Community Board 12. You want to be able to communicate your problems, questions, concerns to your community board. There is a sign up for their newsletter in the event that you want their information. It's up here. And I believe that their contact information is also here. So a great contact to know, contact to have, when you have a concern, not just about rats, but whatever in your community, is definitely your community board. They listen, they invite you to their meetings, and it's a good collaboration to have if you have concerns in your neighborhood, whatever they may be. Today it's rats. Yes,
One question, will you be talking about immigration?
I will not, just rats
The
today.
reason why I say that, because these rats are Norwegian
Yes,
and the cockroaches are German,
they're not, so
we can deport them.
The type of rat that we are seeing in New York City is called the Norway rat. However, they are not from Norway. They originated from Eastern Asia.
Okay.
They came to the States through the European silk trade on ships. So that's how we got them here.
Okay.
So they came as early as some of our ancestors did, right? So Eastern Asian.
Eastern Asia. Okay.
The Norway rat mostly lives outdoors. The Norway rat prefers to live in earthen areas, earth, dirt, soil, where they can excavate and burrow into their homes, create their nests. They prefer areas that are densely populated. So, where there are more people, there are more opportunities for a rat to feed. Because where there are more people, there is more food, more access to food, more access to water. A rat only needs 1 ounce of water, 1 ounce of food. in order to thrive, in order to survive in a single day. That's all they need. 1 ounce is 2 tablespoons. So they thrive in densely populated areas and they benefit from living amongst us, relying on our food, relying on our garbage, and also our negative behaviors like we were talking about. So, rats carry a very important tool, which is their teeth. Their teeth are able to gnaw or chisel their way through pretty much anything softer than steel. All they need to do is kind of find a crack or a crevice or some type of small void to get their little tool into and start their gnawing. They're able to gnaw at 7 bites per second, and they're causing so much damage with this tool that is their mighty teeth. So rats, they don't see very well. They see about 6 feet in front of them, and then things become kind of blurry. Because they have that limited sense of sight, although they are very good at seeing in the dark, so they can see in the dark. But it's limited in terms of depth. So they rely on their other senses. Rats prefer to travel along straight linear paths, so along fence lines, along curb lines, along wall lines. They will use their vibrissae or guard hairs, think of whiskers, but not as long as whiskers, but longer than their fur. They have vibrissae or hairs that stick out, assisting in navigation, letting them know when they are close to those wall lines, close to those fence lines. Rats will prefer to travel in darker areas, so they will travel along those wall lines, fence lines, but maybe in that shadowy part where that shadow is hitting, that's where they might stop to snack or rest or whatever it may be. So those dark shadowy areas are very, very important and useful for them or attractive for them. Along a rat's fur, also with their vibrissae, their guard hairs at the top of their heads, when activated by touch, it'll tell the rat, depending on the angle in which those vibrissae or guard hairs are being activated, it'll tell the rat, you fit here, don't fit from here, you need to work those teeth, try another place. So depending on that angle, they'll know whether or not they fit. A rat only needs 1/2 inch of space in order to work their way through a space or a void. Some people think that it's
Not exactly hearing that word, vibrissae.
vibrissae.
Vibrissae, is that on it?
It's not, is it VEBRAISSE?
It's VIBRISSE. And well.
They may not get that in the spelling contest.
Vibrissae, double S. We can email that word
That's
to you.
fine.
So,
It sounds like it's a lot like cat whiskers.
yes, they just, like my baby hairs, over here, they're like baby hairs, but vibrissae.
But they have a lot of nerve in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So also those vibrissae at the top of the rat's head, when activated by touch, if this rat happens to be over an earthen area, so dirt, soil, it'll also automatically trigger that rat to want to burrow, right? I'm over soil, something is over me, right? When those vibrissae at the top of its head are triggered, it's telling the rat, there's something over you, there's protection, there's shelter. You're over dirt, dig, 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 dig. So they will want to burrow into that space when those vibrissae are triggered. Also along that rat's fur is sebum. So when you don't wash your hair for several days, you get that, or today later, or when I take off my hat, I'll have like a greasy scalp, oily scalp from sweating, maybe from not washing for a couple days, my hair. That oil is called sebum. Rats secrete that same oil But because they don't shampoo, shower, condition, that oil remains over their fur. And as rats stick to their same travel path, they're routine animals, so they'll stick to their same routines. They will leave behind some of that sebum from their fur, giving us identifiers of their travel paths. And we'll see pictures of that in later slides. So rats are great runners. They're great at scurrying around. They are great diggers, right? They excavate for their homes. They're great at gnawing, right? They use their way through void surfaces, structures. They are quick learners. They're very smart. So if they need to learn how to tread water or swim,
I saw it.
they will swim. If they need to learn how to climb, we've seen them climbing NYCHA buildings, brick wall, all the way up.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they're climbers. They're neophobic, which means when something new is introduced into their environment, they'll kind of caution, think about it, not think about it. But once they realize that it's not a threat, they adapt to it quickly and make it part of their routine. If it makes sense. So the secret to a rat's success is in their reproduction. A rat will live for about 9 to 12 months in our streets. So your typical street rat will live for about 12 months. Rats that are kept in labs or as pets, those rats will live maybe 3 years. But your typical street rat will live 9 to 12 months. In those 12 months, one single female can have up to 84 pups.
Oh my God.
Just the one. If this female is living its best life, has wonderful food source, low stress, warm home, whatever you need for your best life as a rat, right? This female can reproduce year round, although reproduction periods are usually the spring and fall. This rat can reproduce year round if the conditions are appropriate and ideal. So can have up to 7 litters in a year, can have up to 12 pups per litter. And these pups will reach, these big rats will reach sexual maturity in about 2 to 3 months. So I'm not here to do math, but quick, very, very quickly they multiply. So what do they eat? Rats will eat pretty much anything, but rats do need a well-balanced diet, especially this breeding female. She needs carbohydrates, she needs fats, she needs proteins, she needs a well-balanced diet in order to maintain healthy and to be able to reproduce in those large numbers. Garbage and litter are a rat's main source of food. Again, all they really need is 1 ounce in a single day, 2 tablespoons. And most definitely they can find more than 2 tablespoons just in our garbage and our litter. But also rats consume dog waste. So they obtain food from dog waste. The way a dog digests its food, there will be chunks of food in the feces. So they know this, and they're also attracted to areas where dog waste is not being cleaned up. Yes.
Are you saying they don't eat the feces, just the chunks of food?
They'll eat all of it.
The whole, okay.
They'll eat all of it. Maybe not all of it, but they're not gonna pick the food out of the waste. They're going to just eat it because they know there's food in it.
Okay.
They'll eat, of course, animal feed or pigeon feed, whatever. Where they'll be attracted to any areas where they can feed. So areas where food is accessible. And thinking about food, we also want to think about dog waste because they are feeding from dog waste. So I've mentioned rats prefer earthen areas where there is earth, dirt, soil, so that they can excavate into, so that they can create their homes. This is where they live. These burrows are about 3 inches in diameter. Rats do prefer to burrow into our earth, our soil, but they will also burrow into structures if and will be able to do so if they find again that crack, that void, that imperfection where they can get those mighty teeth into and start burrowing into our structures, our interiors. Yes.
Do rats grow teeth like sharks?
So I don't know about sharks, but about rats' teeth, rats' teeth continuously grow. So that gnawing behavior, is just something that they're also doing to keep their teeth at a comfortable length. Otherwise, it'll just. Yeah,
That's true.
continue.
Vitamins and a lot of other.
Yeah, there's a name for it, but I don't know. But yeah, with these burrow systems, they will look to burrow close to a reliable food source, which is why I mentioned, is your garbage close to where you're creating your garden beds?
I would say it's about 6-7 feet.
So they'll want to live within 100 feet of that, so close enough. What rats want is a short commute, short, safe, dark, easy commute from home to food, from food to home. Their job is to get food and bring it back. That's all they do. Forage. So they will prefer to live close to a reliable food source, somewhere where they know they're gonna get food regularly, right? Somewhere they know if garbage is going out here, I wanna live close to here. So they will look to create those burrows near that reliable food source.
I have a
yeah.
quick question before you move on. So do they act like, is it like some of them come out, like, let's say in a burrow you have
Up to
out to 12, let's say, right? So it's just like a few of them that go collect food for the others? Or it's like they all leave to do the same thing? Cause I'm trying to picture in the night when you're walking in the sidewalk that I always see a 1 or 2. I've never seen like 5 rats together in a New York City sidewalk unless it's something like I haven't seen it.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that some other people haven't, but I haven't seen it.
I don't 100% know the answer to your question, but I know that rats, like us humans, right, we grow out of our home.
Mm-hmm.
So all rats have to learn to forage and get their own food. I don't know if they'll do it in like different time frames of like the day, although they prefer dawn and dusk. Or if they all go out at the same time, but they will all go out and forage. I can find out for you.
No, I know. It's just cause like, if it was like an influx, like you see how birds flock together, like I'm trying to vision that if rats were flocking together to get food, or like there wouldn't be, I'm pretty sure there wouldn't be no rats. Like any administration would want to do away with something it's because they're scarce and hard to find, and they bury in places. And like you said, you can consider them nocturnal because during the daytime they hide a lot.
Yep.
Exactly. So it's like you said, dusk and dawn.
So Sarah, do you know anything about this? I don't know if, I wanna say that for the most part, they'll go out in maybe small groups.
Yeah,
I don't know if they'll all go out together, but,
I think they're mostly solitary.
yeah.
but you know what? I'm gonna find out.
Oh, but I have heard of something called like a rat store, when you're sitting outside, you'll see like 100 rats running down the street.
Oh, I don't want that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if we lived in any city where we would experience 50 rats, 20, 30 coming all at one time, I think that would have been done with them.
I used to work for the mafia, and we have a lot of them.
Uh-huh.
Certain employees that you probably know about the spot. I can't bad for something like that. They have a meat processing center or whatever. They cut the meats up into little scraps out and then truck, we gotta go and pick it up. So what I observed, there were hundreds
Okay.
of rats that took over the street at night.
Oh, okay,
And
okay,
I'm
okay.
not gonna, in all my rap photos.
Yeah.
none of You guys have ever said they work like a beehive where everybody have specific job
I don't think so.
and so forth.
I get it.
So I think they all do it individually, they might be cool in the borough themselves,
Mhm.
but. I do see them going for their own once they're above ground
Okay,
and not like a communal thing.
okay.
You know, like they're all working together,
Mhm.
yeah, so, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I was just gonna say, well, I live in different parts of the city, but, in general, I've seen the largest number of rats is if there's been a demolition
Mm,
or,
true,
um,
true.
I'll
Yeah.
talk about that also.
something that really,
Yeah,
disturbed.
which was a problem with my garden because they were excavating the street near, I'll let you talk about
I'll talk about it. I'll
Yeah.
get to that because it's a very important point and kind of a myth that we're
And
gonna.
that's actually related to the community board, because, every, major real estate projects, like if something's condemned and then demolished, I believe the community board was informed.
I don't know.
Yeah, we get, not every, contractor does it, but we are lucky that we do get notices for those type of demolitions and, in the district. We don't get, yeah.
Sorry to cut you off on that. There
Oh.
are different pest control measures that are required when there is full demolitions. So
Oh.
And I'm also, one of my concerns is that I rescue cats.
Mm,
The other issue we have with demolitions is that sometimes there are cat colonies that live in and around buildings. And when a construction site, when a building is suddenly, a fence is erected around it, and it's chained off because something major is going to happen,
mhm.
then people can't get to the cats to feed them. But anyway.
I'll talk about it.
Yeah, it's just that
I'll definitely mention
all the
construction
animals
because,
are related.
yeah. So yeah, rats will burrow under bushes, but most importantly, they will look to be close to those reliable food sources, where there's a lot of garbage, right? Like that meat packing place. With our burrow systems, this is what they would look like under our feet. So in order for a rat to create a burrow system, a rat would need 6 to 8 inches of earth, dirt, soil. So maybe for your beds, for your tree beds, you may want to make them shallow and think about what kind of plants would grow on a shallow bed.
Oh, okay.
So they need at minimum 6 to 8 inches to create their burrow system. With the burrow system, you want to think of a home with multiple entrances. When there's a home with multiple entrances, there's usually that one entrance that is used more often than other. Same thing with the rats, same thing with the burrow system. So their main entrance on the far right would be open, exposed, rounded, mounded on the edges. If it's a fresh burrow, you'll notice excavated soil along those edges. And then those side door, back doors, those additional entrances to that burrow system will have, I'll come back to you, sir, will have sometimes be located under some type of shelter, under some type of clutter, structure, garbage, or also what rats will do is they will bring in loose materials, leaves. They love candy wrappers, small wrappers, all types of paper. They will bring those in to loosely cover side door, back doors as and they will use these as escape holes or bolt holes. So they'll camouflage that so that they're not seen and disturbed, but also in the colder weather, they will look to loosely cover those other entrances to retain the heat.
Wow, they're super smart.
So
I didn't know they were that smart.
so smart. Your question?
No, you just answered it because I had a garden before, I saw those loosely scapegoats covered by them, and I'm like, wow.
And then this is when we talk about human behavior again, how important is it to keep your tiny little Hall's cough drop wrapper in your pocket until you can dispose of it correctly, because that little wrapper of Hall's cough drop can
Mhm.
be used for the rat, for nesting, for covering up that hole. So, you know, human behavior, hold on to your litter until you can dispose of it properly.
Just as a funny story example of how smart they are. I had some rats, I believe rats, living in the hood of my car. There was a Wendy's plastic spoon and some torn up, book pages. So I was like, they can read and they.
Yes, they are, very clever, very smart, opportunistic.
Yeah.
So why so many rats in New York City, right? Access to our food garbage by our, so very many, Sarah, maybe please have a little bit.
Yeah, there's cups up there, Martha. Look right there. Let me go grab some more.
Those, the office for the.
Thank you so much. We'll talk about that later. So many places where they are putting out food garbage, right? Whether it's a food truck, whether it is a food cart, a restaurant. And when we have these, streets that are all businesses, right? Most of those businesses are food service establishments, right? But, and if these places don't put out their garbage appropriately, or manage their garbage appropriately, they are providing that easy access for the rats. They are providing that attraction to the rats to want to be in that space. Outdoor dining structures, they're supposed to be down, there's new rules. The Department of Sanitation, the Department of Small Business Services, the Department of Health, and the Department of Transportation, which is the agency that manages outdoor dining, have come together and have put together new dining out rules that are specifically designed to control pest conditions, because these outdoor dining structures did create these ideal spaces for rats to come feed, burrow, and be close to those reliable food sources that they were providing. So now areas with overgrown vegetation, whether they are abandoned lots, community gardens. Where there is earth, where there is soil, there is opportunity and attraction for the rat when these spaces are not being managed appropriately. So like a very busy park with high foot traffic may have overflowing garbage cans, may have people feeding wildlife, may have just a bunch of benches where people love to enjoy their lunch, but maybe are not tossing whatever's left behind in the garbage. So these high foot traffic areas also become vulnerable to rats because they're providing that ideal environment.
Now, I've been with the Parks Department, renovating a dog run in Newburgh, and one thing is the Parks Department is who is responsible, as I understand it, for emptying the trash bags
Yes,
that are outside, so it's not sanitation. Department of Sanitation. Is that
So-
true? Or-
it is true. So parks are responsible for managing their garbage, their litter baskets. NYCHA is responsible for managing their garbage, their litter baskets. The Department of Sanitation may pick it up in a designated location outside the NYCHA development or outside the park, but it is the responsibility of the park or Parks Department to manage their garbage, provide appropriate litter baskets, make sure that they are not overflowing. So all of those things. So I guess the answer to your question is yes and no.
Yeah, well. Yeah, the problem, well, the very big issue, they're still underfunded, and I don't think most people know that they have to do that sanitation role.
I'll get to this also later, but we are in community board 12. We are in a rat mitigation zone. Rat mitigation zones are areas within the city that have been identified to have higher burden of rats. In these rat mitigation zones, we work very closely with parks, NYCHA, tools, so that resources can be better managed and allocated in these spaces. So, you will now have our information if you wanna write any parts.
So like we've asked for lidded trash cans for 10 years. But I'm just wondering, maybe if we say, hey, it's a rat prevention
Maybe.
measure, we'll go that angle.
We can look further into it with you.
Okay.
My card is on the table. I will hand you one.
Okay.
And yeah, we can,
I mean, yeah.
we wanna support whatever cause is not gonna bring or further bring rats into these neighborhoods. So in New York City, right? Oh my goodness, what do these streets look like these days with all these potholes, right? So I've mentioned a couple times. When rats find a void, an imperfection, a crack, a small hole within our structures, whether it be a building, whether it be a sidewalk, a curb line, rats, if it makes sense for them, they will take advantage of these voids, rats, use their teeth and start burrowing under so that they can once again go from one side of the sidewalk under our feet to the other side of that sidewalk where there's a easy access to food. Your question?
Oh my God.
In your bullet points, yes, all those places, but also trees.
Yeah.
And someone just told me there are certain type of insects that do something to trees and then rats are attracted and known to burrow in this tree because the insects
Might create those imperfections.
create those imperfections
Yeah.
and there's mitigation going on in Niger
Mhm.
and they're using wire mesh, gopher mesh to seal up those holes and so forth. So trees are also another place where they burrow in.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about tree beds in a second. So yeah, they take advantage of imperfections, cracks, holes, walls, so that they can chisel their way in, gnaw their way in, and create that space that they can travel through under. Now, construction,
Mm.
right? Construction, people think that when construction happens, we're digging into the earth and we're digging out the rats. This is false. It's not true. What happens with construction, as you mentioned, is immediately we start sealing things off, right? We're closing things off, we're putting mesh barriers, scaffolding, right? Everything's getting closed off. When we add scaffolding and we start closing things off, we're creating, number one, those dark shadowy areas, right?
Yes.
When we're closing things off, back to human behavior. Sometimes people take advantage of these spaces that are now closed off to start dumping, right? Littering, dumping,
Mhm.
right? And we now know that rats take advantage of our behavior when it comes to littering and dumping and access to garbage, right? For nesting materials, for food, right? So we're closing it off, creating that shadowy space. We're closing it off. And unfortunately, our community members might be using the space to dump. We're closing it off, creating that free for all for them, right? We're not very often going into these spaces to address them, to see that they're there.
Sorry, I have some problems.
Oh, no.
The big overhead, forgotten the call, but, the big demolition debris containers. That just.
The containers,
Open
yes.
for,
Right? So they'll bring in those containers, along with what we're seeing on the screen is a construction staging area, right? So with construction staging area, stuff is kind of just piled up in a corner, right? or along whatever space they've created, or the dumpster, right, next to the dumpster where people are dumping, yeah, dumpster, where people are dumping their garbage along with whatever materials the construction site might be dumping. But these construction staging areas, they're sitting there for a very, very long time. With these construction staging areas, if we all happen to be rats or put on your rat glasses, you're gonna wanna travel through these tubes.
Mhm.
You're gonna wanna travel through these dark shadowy areas, right? So with construction sites, it's not that we are taking out from the ground, but what we're doing is we're putting on the ground and we're creating these ideal environments for the rats to run freely through. Whether it's in the earthen area where they've already demoed, where they have that rich soil that they can burrow into and be in undisturbed, or these areas that allow for easy, safe, low risk travel from one end of the street, maybe to the other end of the street, where that dumpster might be, or where that restaurant is putting out the garbage every night, or that school, or whatever it is. As they are traveling through this space that we've created for them, excuse me, they are leaving behind the scent of rat. They are leaving behind their droppings, their urine. They're inviting other rats to come, to frolic, to play, to nest, to mate, to do whatever they want in this space that is now safe and is going undisturbed. Because rats are creating their routines based on our routines. If we're not in this space, that's the space that they want to take advantage of. So they're not going to be bothered in that space. Now, tree pits. Tree pits are very, very, very vulnerable to rats because garbage often goes out onto the tree pits. Because dog waste sometimes is not being picked up at the tree pits. Because where there are tree pits, there's usually soil, right? Rats like to get into our soil. At tree pits is maybe where people might be feeding cats, birds, raccoons. I mean, it's New York, we see everything. But feeding wildlife, sometimes people dump right onto the tree pit. With the tree pit or the tree bed, it's along those curb lines, along those wall lines. If this tree pit is full of litter, full of garbage, full of dog waste, rats will be attracted to that space also because the soil is there so they can burrow into, so they can burrow down, come up, oh, here's some dog waste, oh, here's some food. Easy access, no risk, easy access travel.
On the other hand, participatory budgeting, everybody wants everybody wants the truth beds for beautification. Some lovely neighbor from my block, on their own money, built this wooden surrounds and painted them, and then they had to move. And since then, they've become, just like you say, somehow they people see a fence, and they're like, oh, it's a waste bin. And, and,
Also with tree beds, I think you're talking about tree guards.
yeah,
It's like a tiny little fence that goes.
Mhm, mhm.
So with the tree guards, they often collect windblown litter, right?
Oh, that's
And that
true.
is not cleaned up. And also what we're finding is some people want to beautify their neighborhoods and they want to create these things and fill with soil. But the soil at your tree bed should always be flush with the
sidewalks.
sidewalk. Because otherwise you're creating that accessible soil for the rats to want to burrow into. So you're creating more soil, more opportunity for them to burrow. So with the tree guards, it should just be that tiny fence. It should never be filled with soil. The soil should always be at ground level or at a level with the sidewalk. So rats contaminate food, they damage buildings and can harm quality of life, right? Which is why the health department is involved. Preventing and controlling rats is important to protect public health, prevent property damage, reduce the spread of disease, maintain safe, clean living conditions, reduce the risk of disease transmission, increase the quality of life, prevent contamination, and then, of course, reduce structural damage and damage to our landscape. Because we know that with that mighty tool that is their teeth, they're causing a lot of damage. So how do we get rid of rats, right? I think that for the most part, when people think about rats, their immediate thought is, how do I kill? Let's kill, kill, right? That's our immediate thought, like kill. However, if we just have our killing hat on, if we're just thinking about killing, it's not enough. It's like skimming off the top. It's the tip of the iceberg. So just thinking about a kill method, exterminator, a predator, poison is not enough because there are just way too many. And the bounce back is very, very fast. So, rats breed faster than we can get rid of them with poison, with traps and predators. If rats have access to shelter, food, water, easy travel paths, they will continue to thrive and they will continue to reproduce. To get rid of rats, we have to think of a plan of attack, right? We have to starve them, we have to deny them of their shelter, and we have to build them out. And we do this through integrated pest management practices. Preventive practices, right? So in our plan of attack, we have to identify what do rats need? Rats need food, rats need water, rats need shelter, right? Food, garbage, litter, grease stains on our sidewalks, dog waste, any type of animal feed, water from sewers, sprinklers, gutters, any cold water, leaky faucets, hoses, and then shelter in earthen areas, shelter in those imperfections in our infrastructures, shelter in our garbage placement area, shelter in areas where there's overgrown vegetation, areas where there's a lot of clutter that provide that shelter. So with integrated pest management, we want to disrupt the triangle of life. Our aim is to eliminate, if not significantly reduce, their access to food, water, and shelter through preventive measures, through integrated pest management, where we are practicing prevention, observation, intervention, and then evaluation. So what can you do to manage rats on your property, right? We're gonna learn and go through all of these steps, which will also be on the preventing rats on your property guides. So in step 1, we're looking for rat activity. We don't have to go out and physically see a rat to know that they are in the area. They leave lots of evidence for us. So burrows, holes, gnaw marks, runways, sebum trails, droppings, urines. These are all active rat signs. These are all signs of rats that tell us rats are in the area. When we are looking for these active rat signs, we also want to look for those conditions that attract the rats, right? We're seeing droppings. We know rats are here, but what? We want to take a look around and think about that triangle. Where are they getting food? Where are they getting water? Where are they getting shelter? So rats are local animals. Whether you're seeing a live rat or a dead rat or any sign of rat, this is telling you rats are in the area. There's something in your immediate area that is wanting for these rats to be in or near that space. Burrows. I've gone over burrows. They can be earthen burrows. They can be structural burrows. So I'll talk about the burrows on the screen. What we're looking at is maybe what we're looking at here is, let's paint the picture. So this is our tree bed along the street. There's a car parked here. Can you all see the picture?
Yes.
Okay, there's a car parked here. Let's just say this is our sidewalk, right? This is the other side of our sidewalk. Over here is my house, where in front of my house, I am keeping my garbage. My garbage is overflowing, filthy, and stinky. Okay? So what is the rat doing in this scenario? Rats are burrowing right into my tree pit,
Going under, right?
going under.
And
They're
coming
going-
out through there,
And they're coming up through here where my garbage is sitting, right?
grab food and take it under?
Yep,
Oh.
grab food, they'll bring it back under. Rats, within their burrow system, they'll also keep like a little fridge area, so they'll keep an area where they're just putting, maybe storing a little bit of food,
Oh, my God.
right? So, as I mentioned earlier, right? You're seeing signs of rats, you're seeing the burrows, but you also want to identify those other things, like why are they in this space? So, access to water, there's a little bit of pooled water here, right? There's that curb line travel path,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's squirrels in the tree pit, right? So they're living under here. And then their access to food is right here where my dirty, disgusting garbage sits and is open and easy access for them. So again, once you have learned, once you have identified a rat sign, once you've seen a rat, take a look around. Where's the water? Where's the food? Where's the burrow? Where are they living? And it'll help you identify the things that you need to address. So like over here, you know that the water pools in front of your home. After rain, you may wanna flush it away, brush it away, so the water doesn't pool. Gnaw marks, evidence of those teeth, sebum trails. So what we're looking at on the picture, what we're looking at on the picture on the right is a dumpster, right? Garbage is going into this dumpster. Then there's a wall. At ground level, there's some type of planting here. That's what you're seeing here.
Mhm.
Telling us there's an earthen area,
Mm.
right? So this sebum trail is telling us rats are coming from the earthen area up this wall into the dumpster, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. As they continue that routine travel, they leave behind those sebum marks, telling us this is the way that rats are traveling. This sebum will also have that attractive smell of rat that rats are attracted to. So they will become familiar with this space and attracted to the space because of that smell also. There's also some sebum at that corner of that dumpster. So we're seeing where they're going and where they're coming from. Yes.
That instruction that you gave is very enlightening to me, because now I'm thinking, and every time I go to a restaurant or a big chain fast food place and they have these dumpers outside, like by the drive-through, I always wonder why the walls next to it look so dark. And
Might be the rat.
it's like almost oftentimes every dumpster that I've seen in back of a restaurant or in back of a McDonald's, for some reason where they put that dumpster, the walls are super dirty, and I thought it was just garbage, but now it
So it could be sebum, it
Mhm.
could be, garbage
Found this
juice
on the
that
web.
has like splash. But yeah,
Does the sebum, is it also a signal to other rats, hey, there must be food here?
oh yes. We're traveling through here, so there must be something here.
wow.
Rats are communicating through the scent in there, a sebum in there, and not their sebum. Their sebum will carry the smell of rat, which they're attracted to, so they're like, rats are here.
Mm.
Right? Also with their droppings, they're able to communicate, and I'll talk about that in just a couple of slides, but they're able to communicate with the smell of their droppings, so they'll be able to smell a dropping and say, there's food here, salads here, like a lot of information through the smell in their droppings. Salad rat. So rats very much, I've mentioned it, Rats stick to their same routine. So very much like us, we may take the same route to and from school every day. We may take the same route walking our dogs, the same route to jog, to take a walk. Same thing with the rats. They stick to their same routines, they stick to their same travel paths, creating these runways, right? They're gonna take this one is actually on NYCHA grounds. But what you'll see is if you follow a runway, you'll be able to tell where they're going and where they're coming from. Oftentimes with runways, they will either lead to from one borough to another, or they will lead from a borough to either a water source or a food source, telling us again where they're going, where they're coming from, without us even seeing them. Yes.
What would be natural things that they would feed on if
If not our
we
garbage,
weren't giving them garbage?
nuts, berries, stuff from the trees,
Free fruit.
yeah.
Are they interested in sawdust?
Oh, yeah,
or
worms. Sorry.
like wallboard or sawdust or anything like that?
Will they eat that?
Or paper?
I don't think they're eating paper or sawdust. They might be, they're definitely
If they're
using
desperate.
paper. If they're desperate, they'll eat each other.
What?
They will eat each
But
other.
like pizza.
They're dead already, or they'll attack and kill.
They can attack and kill.
Oh my God.
Like a mother rat will be trapped.
Say it again?
Yes.
A mother rat will be trapped.
If they're desperate,
Lions will do that too, especially if it's the early winter.
I was just, so, my garden space
Mhm.
has like two trails, right?
Okay.
So it's from the tree I was just referring to, but they also burrowed in the ground. So my space is like 30 feet wide. I see that trail leading to one of those tree beds near the end of the street. And then there's a sewer right down there. There's a sewer. So what I wanna do is disrupt that. I wanna disrupt that and, this is your presentation, but yeah, go ahead. I'm just saying I have those trails.
you know where they're going, you know where they're coming from. So
Oh.
you wanna make sure if they're leading to the tree bed, you wanna make sure that that tree bed is, always kept clean and free of garbage. Maybe garbage is going out there every night, which is out of your control.
Are parking their cars going outside and they're discarding their garbage right near the tea bread or bed there. But I also see some mitigation, like in the tree bed in certain places in my neighborhood, they put wire mesh either above the dirt line or just below the
Yeah.
dirt line. So,
It should be
yeah.
just below.
just
Yeah.
below, yeah,
And then, for your,
rails.
if you're seeing the going into the sewer grate at the corner.
Yes,
You can take a look at that grate. If you're seeing like, it looks like there's disrepair or stuff is accumulating, you can also make a 311 report for that.
okay.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about the trails itself? Do you I was thinking about taking certain tools and dig up the trail, and stuff, and then,
Well, they're traveling, over the trail.
yes.
As far as the trail goes, I would want to address what's at the end of the trail.
And I just.
Right? So if you're looking to collapse, if you're seeing that a trail leads to a borough system or a borough, that's where you wanna collapse it, and I'll get into that also.
But, I'm
But-
sorry.
Yeah.
Cayenne pepper or whatever
No.
along the trails.
No, so I don't think I've mentioned this, so I'm glad you mentioned it. There has been nothing that has been scientifically proven to deter rats, right? So people will come to us with cayenne pepper, lavender, lemongrass, all types of what I call home remedies,
Even then.
mint,
Pepper.
right?
What's-
Peppermint.
I think it works for squirrels, but.
I'm not sure. So, nothing that has been scientifically proven, right? However, if mint is working for you, stick to your mint, right? If it's working for you, you're loyal
It was
to it,
unintentional.
do it.
You know, I put some peppermint or mint flavor, it was granola that had some mint in it, and the squirrel just straight up said no. The squirrel wouldn't eat it, I was trying to, anyway, it's a long story.
Yeah,
But
but yeah, nothing that has been scientifically proven.
But yet they put bait in don't they put some sort of attractant in the rat poison?
So they will put, right now we're piloting,
Contraceptive.
contraceptives
Yeah.
in 9. And we're using these like sausage looking, smelling, I don't know about tasting, type of bait or contraceptive bait into the bait boxes. But again, it's the smell of like food, something that they can eat.
It just seems to me, but based on what I'm learning, that, and I had a German cockroach infestation in my apartment a couple years ago. And it really watched something on YouTube that said, you know what? Stop. Stop trying to attack them where you live, attack them where they live. And I feel like that's sort of the message here. And that makes me think these bed boxes are all in the wrong places. I mean, rather than being underneath my kitchen window in the courtyard, it should be in the park, in the grass, out,
And out by the garbage cans,
So where bait boxes should
by the garbage cans.
where bait boxes should live is within the rat's travel path, right?
Mm.
It's not about like, I don't want them coming through my door, so I'm gonna put a bait box right in front of my door. Unless you know they're coming through your
Okay.
door, right? Then you wanna place your bait box close to that door, in a dark shadowy area. Eliminate any other type of food source so that they're actually taking the bait and not them using the bait box for.
I'm sorry, you mentioned contraceptive, I'm sorry.
I will talk more about
are we
contraceptive.
gonna talk about the negative
Yes.
poison?
I will.
The bait boxes are placed by the health department or they're given to like the property managers?
Great question. So bait boxes, so the New York City Health Department treats properties, puts down bait and boxes when the property owner fails to do so. But it is the responsibility of the property owner to hire a pest control company when there's a problem,
Mm.
who will then, with the property owner decide the appropriate measure of treatment, whether it's bait boxes or something else. And I will talk about treatment,
Okay.
and then, impact. So droppings, rat droppings. Rat droppings look like a smushed raisin. They are dark brown in color, blunted edges, about that size. So if you're wondering, is this a rat dropping? Is this a mouse dropping? A rat dropping looks similar to a raisin. Mouse droppings, if you're curious, you wanna compare them to maybe a black grain of rice. More pointed at the edges, much smaller. So rats are communicating through the smell in their droppings and the smell in their urine. Where there is an area where are large accumulations of droppings, this is indicative of lots of rats in this area, lots of droppings, lots of rats. Whether old or new, droppings will still carry a scent. Wherever you are seeing droppings, you want to assume that urine is there. And I'm gonna open your eyes again. So what we're looking at in this picture is we're looking down at a fence line.
Mhm.
Along the left side of that fence line, we're seeing those splats. It's not just dirt.
It's
These
urine?
are urine splats. This is rat urine. Rat urine will often be a linear splat format. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. But yeah, sometimes I don't know how often you guys are walking down the street, maybe looking down and we're seeing these little splats and we're thinking it's garbage. Likely it is rat urine.
Oh my God. You know what I thought that was?
Mhm.
You know when the supers put out the garbage and sometimes there's like holes and stuff? I'm thinking
Like
that it was like
garbage
leakage from the
juice?
garbage juice.
Yeah, so wherever there are droppings, there is urine. And like I said, urine is a little bit difficult to spot. Sometimes we don't know what we're looking at. But yeah, there you are. Whenever you are cleaning up areas where there are rat droppings, there are urine, you want to make sure that you're using PPE. You want to use a 10-to-1 bleach solution, 10 parts water, 1 part bleach. Maybe use a scrubby broom to get in there. If you're not into using chemicals or products, you may want to use a pressure hose or a power washer to get in there and get that smell of rat out. those, dropping infested areas cleaned. You wanna sanitize, you wanna destroy scent rails and also disrupt their communication because they are smelling those droppings and knowing what kind of rats were there, who was there, what's around, is there shelter, should we stick here, should we not stick here? If you are, cleaning up, again, you also wanna clean up any grease stains, garbage juice, any spills. You wanna clean up any dog waste. And we don't often think about our garbage placement areas, but our garbage placement areas should be well lit. Should be clean, should have enough garbage to hold have enough cans to hold all of the garbage. Sometimes the space where we're putting our garbage is kind of an oversight, but this space should always be very, very clean and well lit so that rats will just bypass. Clutter, right? You guys are all rats again, right? Put on your rat glasses or whatever. This is an alleyway that we're looking at. If we're all rats, are we traveling through the middle of this alleyway?
Yeah.
We're traveling back behind that.
Be-
Right, we're traveling along the wall line, along the fence line, we're traveling we're traveling all along these shadowy, dark areas in this alleyway. We're not going straight down the middle of this, we're rats, we need to
Oh,
be sheltered, we need to be covered, right? So with cluttered spaces, with alleyways, with areas where there's clutter, you wanna clean those up. If possible, you wanna bring things off the ground, so in your storage areas, maybe in your interiors, bring items off the ground, bring items in away from the walls. You always wanna be able to see what's going on along their travel paths, right? Along those fence lines, along those wall lines, and at ground level. Same thing with your green spaces, your areas where there's earth, dirt, soil. You wanna make sure that there is nothing overgrowing. You wanna make sure that you have a clear line of sight to the ground. Control your weeds, your bushes. If you're noticing that there's ground cover, you may wanna trim your plants up enough, about 1 feet up, so that you can still see what's going on at ground level. When planting, you wanna leave enough space between plants so that you can see what's going on at ground level and address the problem as soon as it is observed. For ground level, you may want to add mulch or landscaping pebbles or gravel. When adding mulch, landscaping pebbles or gravel, this makes the soil, the earthen area, less attractive for burrowing, right? Because it kind of takes a little bit more work. They want easy in, easy out. They want to do everything quickly. Yeah,
So the wood chips will be good.
wood chips would be good
Okay,
at ground level, yes.
They do absorb a lot of, I mean, in the long run, they absorb a lot of moisture
Mhm.
and, I don't know. You know, they suck the wood chip to get moisture out there. You know, I know that in dog runs, Parks is trying to get people more towards artificial turf. We have a wood chip dog run right now. But the artificial turf does can retain a urine odor, whether it's a dog urine odor or a rat urine odor, I don't know, but wanted to talk to you maybe later, but one thing that I see going on at my building is that when people are, I don't know if they're evicted or they die or what, but they go in and they just take everything, I mean, everything. And put it in garbage bags and they pile it up, you know, behind, like in our courtyard. And they don't get a demo, because none of it, I mean, a dumpster, because none of it's done with permit, and, you know, and it can sit there for as long as, you know, several weeks, are we I just hope that we can get some. I don't know, this just seems intractable. I keep losing hope.
I will also talk about that. I'll get to that, I promise. I'll talk about complaints and what can you do for your space.
How we're gonna keep this.
So we have our garbage cans, right? So this is the NYC bin. The NYC bin will be required to be used by units by 1 to 9 unit buildings. It will be a requirement starting June of this year. For larger buildings, things are moving along, but no requirements yet, unless these larger buildings do have multiple violations, they are being required to containerize their garbage. But here's your 35-gallon NYC bin. This is also sold in 45 gallons. You two are welcome to take 2 bins home.
I'm gonna damn sure, sorry, no, reason why I said that?
Yeah.
Because I told you I have a 100, I'm sorry for the person. I have 160 feet, by 30 feet. And at ends, there's also on the dog disposal, what the night chair has to do.
Yeah.
I'm always cleaning that out and also raking the lawn, and I see spots where people are dumping garbage, just discarding.
Yeah.
So I put out plastic garbage bags, and people are using it, not as much, but they are using it. So I can use those two, I can use those two on my lawn,
Great.
and just, yeah.
So recommendations for the bin. When you are placing it along your fence, you're looking, chain it to your fence, right? We live in New York City. If you're looking to chain this to your fence, do not chain it open, right? You wanna chain it closed. Right? Because you always wanna make sure that your bin has a tight close at all times. If you leave your bin open, rats can get in there, people can get in there, whoever can get in. And you always, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I don't know about these, but the food compost bins, my they use I guess they call contractor, those, big black garbage bags.
Mhm.
And basically, the line gets too thick. And so now that it no longer, it doesn't close solidly.
It should close.
Yeah.
So
But it doesn't.
your bin should always have a tight close, that way nothing can get in and nothing can come out for easy access. Your garbage should not be flowing out of your garbage can, garbage should not be being placed on top of your bin. It does a lot, it does have a latch.
I think it helps supers in some way, because I feel like the volume of trash. I've lived in my building for 13 years now. And and I'm guilty of it too, ordering stuff online and, but the volume of trash that we have now is easily 4 times.
Yeah.
What it was
So-
12 years ago in terms of just volume. We used to keep our stuff inside, but then they moved it outside, we had scaffolding for several years. Now scaffolding's gone, so it just gets wet. But I also feel like so they're being asked to do a lot more work, and I don't know if they're getting any compensation.
So New York City is currently piloting the Empire bins in Community Board 9.
Okay,
They are the
the big European container.
big containers that are being piloted in Community Board 9. I think they're moving the pilot or expanding it into Brooklyn. So I think slowly, we are trying to work more with being able to find a way to deal with the large amounts of garbage, right? Because it's only increasing, just like you said. So yeah, you can find more information on that.
But those are still gonna be, average resident supposed to be putting their trash out there, or we're still relying on our supers to gather it and then take to those bins.
The super or the management company is who will be responsible for placing the garbage in the Empire bin. Oh, because the Empire bins will be locked.
Oh.
And the only access to the bin will be by the property management or the super. So yeah, the Department of Sanitation also has a community outreach team. Their email and phone number is on the screen. If you have questions about garbage or if you need more information about, garbage. Questions, comments, concerns about garbage, Department of Sanitation. We work collaboratively with all of our agencies and we try to be able to provide as much information as we can. However, I may not have all of the answers for sanitation. The Department of Sanitation currently is holding clean buildings trainings. So these trainings provide support for any New Yorker, including those property managers, those supers. These are virtual trainings. I believe they're also doing these in other languages, but I'm not sure. And then these clean building trainings are being held virtually. They are talking about rules and regulations, building waste management, how to get rid of materials. They're talking about composting. They're talking about pest control strategies. And it's a great place to bring your questions, comments, concerns, if you have any regarding garbage. Their next training will be virtually April 16th. They do an afternoon 1 to 2 p.m. usual slot. And you can visit nyc.gov/clean buildings, or you can just search clean buildings trainings, Department of Sanitation on the web. So, right, we're keeping food away. We want to minimize and separate food waste, right? So containerization and the use of the NYC bins will be containerization and the use of bins will be the NYC bins will be mandatory in June of 2026, so June of this year. However, you can still put out your recyclables in plastic bags on the curb, right? So you want to make sure if you're addressing already their access to garbage, you want to also address their access to maybe your recyclables, right? You don't want them to start digging through your recyclables, so you want to rinse your recyclables before putting them out because they can still come out in those garbage bags on the curb.
I would say at best, 25% of what my building recycles has been rinsed, including food.
I think
best.
back to human behavior.
Yeah. And I think people think, even my husband, I've had this argument with him numerous times. He's like, well, surely they have to clean it before they recycle it. And I'm like, well, I think if it's dirty, if it's got stuff in it, it just, it just goes along to the landfill.
I know that part, but like the part about keeping it clean is you don't want to attract anything to it.
Right, and they complain about rats and then they.
Right. Yeah. So, now wildlife feeding. So we have people who love feeding the birds, people who love feeding the raccoons, the cats, the animals in the streets, right? And there are people where they are like, I'm not gonna stop doing it. There's no way, right? So what we want to encourage is that you do it responsibly. So rather than you putting out food for the birds,
Right.
like that, right? What you wanna do is you wanna place it in a container or something, put it down, let them feed,
Right.
stick around or don't stick around, come back, pick it up in the container that you put it down and dispose of it responsibly, right? That is our hope.
Yeah.
I think that when I tell people don't do it, they're like, I will do it. And I'm like, well, maybe you should try this. They're more open to the suggestion. So don't put it out and leave it. Whichever way, don't toss it. You wanna put it out in some type of receptacle, come back for it and dispose of it responsibly. Rats will eat each other. Rats will eat next to the cat. next to the bird, next to whatever it is. When there's enough food, they will share the table.
I do think that the smell of cats can deter rats, only in the sense that they'll go to the next place
Maybe
if there's not a cat there. But one thing I wanted to ask was about health inspections and the fines. Because anecdotally, I've heard that if you're a bodega, let's say, and we have a deli area where you prepare food. And you have a cat, and I know there's a whole bodega cat, it's another debate, but. It's $1,200 fine if they find rats. It's a $200 fine for having a cat. Do you think that's true? And if so, you know, if they're having the cat, and I don't advocate for walking the cat down in the basement and just assuming it's gonna kill things to survive, that is wrong. But, I do think it can be helpful. Also, I'm just trying to find a place for these cats. Seriously, we have 500,000,
Okay.
you know, cats don't have homes, but how do we, I don't know.
So I will talk about our inspection process.
Okay.
However, our Office of Pest Control Services does not do inspections on delis, bodegas, food service establishment. That is the New York City Health Department, but it's the Bureau of Food Safety. So I wouldn't know about their fines or regulations, but food safety and sorry.
Well, there's an opportunity for some coordination there.
Yes, and it takes you then.
Food safety, I think it's the Bureau of Food Safety. So, we also, our department, we'll call it, only does rats, but we also have Healthy Homes, which does roaches, mice, and interior pests. So, the Bureau of Food Safety does food service establishments in terms of inspections. Healthy Homes does, interior inspections for interior pests. And the Office of Pest Control Services does rats. But we can connect.
Yeah, okay, I'm just actually, thinking that, some interdepartmental, communication between y'all, I'm sure you have some, but, and also to track it, I wish we, I'm old, I understand, but, in the old days, before times, we had public service announcements, I don't know,
Advertisement has become so different, right?
you're right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it would even remotely work to have something pop up, that says, hey, pigeons, they don't even like bread. They're desperate, that,
Yeah.
So, and I think what you're saying is good advice, which is pigeons. You should feed the pigeons when you see the pigeons.
You shouldn't eat the pigeons at all, to be quite honest. However, if you must, here's
Right.
how to do it. That's our messaging. We also have, I think, a pigeon poster that we have on the screen.
Yeah.
So we're trying, and I think, these posters, they're actually going off on the links. I don't know if you're familiar with the links, but that's how they're kind of.
Yeah, I actually just heard about that from Ian Oldenson at
Sorry,
Don's office.
yes.
So I believe there's a law for bodegas that is allowing them to have cats in there. I
Yeah.
believe they have to get shots, this, that, or
I
whatever.
don't know anything.
No,
about that.
we can look into it, I'm just mentioning it because I saw it on television. Right, as for cats and gardens, especially in public housing. Several sites we allow those cats, they have to be neutered, right, and they have to have houses, on site and so forth. So we're allowing it, some residents don't like it, and everything can change with that. But yeah, please look into it, city council, they approve cats being in
Oh, I
bodegas.
love that.
And there's certain requirements in
Yes.
order for you to have it.
Oh, Sarah, go ahead.
But you don't want them feeding on poison grass.
No, they're not.
I-
I personally
I-
just bury, I just bury.
I understand that, but this is one of the solutions that Nigel does.
Yeah,
Okay,
but some residents still want the cats out, so there are some problems, but
You're talking about the outdoor cats, the community cats,
for
right?
community
Yeah.
cat, yes.
Which it's the same thing though. People act like they can get rid of cats. Well, they can't get rid of cats any more than they can get rid of rats.
No.
So we need to come up with ways of accommodating reality.
I will say, the city of New York has done a hell of a job with the cats and, with the cats and the dogs. Because I grew up in New York City in the 1970s, and you saw them both running rampant throughout the city.
Yeah.
Today, you hardly see any, maybe in the brownstones or whatever, you see the cats, but you don't hardly see them running around the city like that. I don't know, wherever you're from, but I don't really notice them like that.
Yeah, the problem we have now is like friendly owned cats are dumped. We don't have as many feral, semi-feral cats anymore because we have done a really good job on the spay and neuter. That's what I work on. We have a tremendous problem with dumping of animals. Or they get out, an unneutered cat has a very strong instinct to run.
So being that you know about that, if a neuter cat won't be as aggressive in catching rats as a feral cat?
I don't think neutering has
Well, that's a good
anything
question.
whatsoever to do with their hunting. I can
Okay,
tell you,
their skills are intact no matter
yeah,
if they're neuter or not. Okay,
in my colony, the females were the hunters.
okay.
They were yes, and they even delivered a headless chipmunk
Oh my.
once.
Wow.
Okay,
Was told that was a great thing, but
I'm gonna move on.
yeah, we gotta move on.
We're gonna move on,
I
but
don't think it
we're
was
gonna get back to rats.
Mhm.
But I mean, I wanna say that, if you do your research or if there is a subject of your interest, like there's always groups and different
Right.
things that you can,
Well, I do like the fact that you said to manage the feeding. I mean, one thing that we emphasize in training is like, don't leave a can. Don't put a can of cat food out, and we emphasize making sure put it out and you take it away.
yeah, you wanna take it away because
Is left.
whatever is left, remember, these
Yeah.
rats have these tiny hands and these tiny tongues that will just need, and they only need,
This much, right?
yes.
Okay.
They only need 2 tablespoons for the whole day. So
Yeah.
even if they have like that tiny bit of whatever's left in the can, good enough.
Yeah.
So now burrows, right? Once you have seen a burrow, right? We now know what they look like, we now know what they are, we know that they are not just a hole in the ground, but part of a system. When you have identified a burrow, your immediate action, if you want to take one, is to collapse it, break it up. This is their home. You want to turn the soil so that the burrow and the system is no longer there.
Mm.
When you have identified a burrow, areas where there are more burrows, there are more rats. Areas where there are very many burrows, you'll notice that the ground at your feet is not as dense, right? Because they're under our feet, they're
Oh.
there, right? So, you want to turn that soil, destroy their home. When you have identified a burrow, you never want to place anything atop the burrow. You never want to put a brick, a rock, a paver. Never want to put anything atop that burrow. Because remember, the rat can wiggle their way through, make their way in. When you place something atop that burrow, what you're doing is you're giving them a roof, you're giving them an awning, you're giving them that sense of safety, that sense of protection. You're upgrading their home. Right? Also, you may want to pour liquid into the burrow, right? If you pour liquid into the burrow, you may flush out the rat, but the burrow will remain.
What about people using gas?
People shouldn't do anything to those burrows.
I know.
They shouldn't pour any type of liquid into the burrows. Remember that it's not a hole, it's earth. The earth will take in the liquid, whatever it is, whether it's water, gas, alcohol.
What I mean like gasoline, I mean like
Oh, yes, I'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah. I'll get to it, yeah. So, but as far as liquids go, you don't wanna put any liquids into the burrow system, you don't wanna plug them, you always want to turn the soil and collapse them. Also, when you place a brick or a paver or a rock over a burrow on a very hot sunny day, that rock, that paver will retain some heat and then providing a heat source of 302, right? So you're making them more comfortable. You wanna let them know, you're not welcome here, get out of here.
Excuse me, if you ever disrupt a burrow, are you likely to find a nest?
Yeah. Maybe, yes, if you, remember that the burrow is just the entrance, right? Remember the picture in the beginning,
Mhm.
under it is a whole network, it's a system. So if you work your way through
And you find a nest?
when you have found a burrow, right? Now that we know that is part of a network, you wanna look maybe 3 feet in every direction for any other burrows.
Yeah.
And then collapse in that direction, right? Turn the soil in that direction, which is likely where you'll find the nest.
What does that look like?
Um. Lots of paper.
You will
Um,
never find like actual rats in
You
there?
find babies in there, yeah, pups, yeah.
And how do you dispose of that if you were to find that while you're disrupting the
You
soil?
so as far as disposing rats, and I have that in later slides, you put them in a plastic bag and in your outdoor garbage. So you wanna look,
Or
Huh?
alive, like live babies?
I mean, if you wanna kill them, if you wanna suffocate them, if you wanna bang them with your.
Oh, no.
But the shovel is actually working it.
I don't know how
I
you
read,
would
I
wanna
read,
take it that
I'll
way.
make it very quick. Upstate New York, and other counties in New York State. They do allow you to use air guns, but the air gun has to be powerful enough to kill them on the first shot, or it's not or it's inhumane
Yeah.
to deal with them. But, I need to see what the requirements are here. New York is its own entity
Yeah.
in one way or another, but in out of counties, you can use an air gun to
Oh.
kill them, but yeah. But, okay, that's,
So you wanna check for any I call them imperfections, cracks, holes, voids, foundations, walls, floors, under the doors, your stoop steps, the perimeter of the tree pit, curb lines, windows, those, ground floor windows and doors, and anywhere where pipes are entering or exiting structures. 4, smaller cracks and holes. To address those, you wanna seal them with a caulk or a roofing cement. For pipes, you wanna use an escutcheon plate. Check for leaks. For, the space under your door, right?
Yeah.
The space under your door. If you are able to roll one of those big fat Sharpie markers under your door, a rat can fit through there. That space under your door, if you're able to roll a pencil under that space, a mouse can fit through there.
Oh my
So
God.
for that space, you wanna use a rodent resistant metal door sweep. You don't wanna use a weatherproofing strip. A weatherproofing strip, they can very easily gnaw through, and if you already know they're going through there, you definitely wanna address the space appropriately. So rodent resistant metal door sweep.
Are the high pitched sound emitting things,
No,
just in effect?
not scientifically.
Yeah.
Is what we'll say.
Right.
For larger hold, are we strict at 3 o'clock?
I mean, you
No.
can actually
No.
choose through both those things, but
say that again, like the timing.
Oh, I just wanted to make sure that the room wasn't scheduled for something else out there.
yeah.
So for larger holes, right, what we often see is that people will use expanding foam
Yeah.
to fill those holes. Expanding foam is great.
Okay.
However, you don't wanna just use expanded foam. You wanna use a layering method, so you wanna maybe start with filling that larger hole with some stainless steel or copper mesh. Stuff it in there, then maybe spray some foam, then maybe some cement or mortar, then maybe some more of that mesh. You wanna use a layering method so that it's more difficult for them to gnaw or work their way through.
I personally use like around pipes and so forth in Philadelphia. We use the cement mix and we crush glass
Mhm.
and we also use wire mesh, right?
Mhm.
We know that rats don't have hemoglobin or mouses
Mhm.
where we develop a scab.
Mm,
they bleed out.
mm.
So if you're putting the glass in there, you're, possibly they're getting cut and bleed out and die.
So I will not recommend glass as a health department employee, so we won't recommend glass. I'm gonna continue to recommend these measures that are safe.
Okay, check into the hemoglobin about rats.
I will look
Yeah,
into
yeah.
that. We do have a expert rodentologist on our staff.
Mm.
Don't, what's the name? Hemoglobin rats.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, that surprises me because considering one of the main combatants we have for rats, all these blood
The
thinners.
anticoagulant.
Yeah, anticoagulants.
I'll talk about those
So-
also. And then the other one was. I forgot.
They don't have bones, that's why they're able to,
So, I'll talk about that too, I'll talk about that.
wow,
So,
okay.
most people think that rats don't have bone,
Body, they don't clot.
Is this because we're,
coagulate.
there's the rat stuff,
I
the,
don't know, we can just take notes to ask Bobby.
I asked ChatGPT, it says rats clot blood just like.
Oh, they do clot.
Yeah.
But if they're eating anticoagulant poison, that's when that would be.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Mm, okay.
the rat. Instances.
I do know-
They also don't, they stop doing it as well, that's why we want to owl.
Right, it's horrible, and I lost cats to it,
Yeah,
just as recently as February.
Thank you for the
I'm gonna-
correction. It was by word of mouth that we
Yeah.
used it, and we saw rats bleed out.
Bobby,
Well, not watch them, but just
they might,
then.
they might have, had some poison in them too.
Right.
So for holes, you wanna cover floor drains, you wanna use heavy duty metal screening, you wanna secure those with wide washers and masonry nails or cement along those edges. Always making sure that you're keeping any voids, any cracks, any holes less than 1/4 of an inch.
I think when fences, especially if they're like the poles or and cement, but then the cement has broken and it just seems like it's making an easy tunnel for
Yeah, they definitely take advantage of imperfections, right? Voids, so very, very, very important to address those imperfections and seal them and fill them up, so there's no rat access.
yeah, I think traps. Maybe keep on that.
So with traps.
Yeah.
If you have the stomach for it, if you wanna do DIY, the best place to set your trap is along a rat's travel path. I know the rats are traveling through here, so this is where I wanna place the trap. Remember that along that travel path, you wanna place your trap in the darkest, shadowiest area. So if you know that a shadow pass along that travel path for several hours during the day or night, or it's just very dark corner, that's where you wanna place your trap. You wanna place your trap hillside to that wall. You want to
the wall.
so this is your trap.
Yeah.
This is your wall, hillside to the wall.
Oh.
Hillside away from the.
Alright.
Um,
Kills
Yeah.
rats in the wall, yeah.
hillside to the wall. Place your trap hillside to the wall. If you know what your rodent is eating. Maybe your Ritz cracker, your mouse is eating your Ritz cracker in your house. That's what you wanna put, a tiny little bit of Ritz cracker in that trap. Put it in that dark shadowy area. If you don't know what they're eating, we're gonna recommend avocado, egg yolk, peanut butter.
Mm,
Just a tiny bit on that trap. Set it along that travel path, set it in that dark shadowy part of that travel path. Place it rather. You don't wanna set it for night number 1, night number 2, night number 3. Get them used to eating that little bit of snack. On night number 3,
Mm.
once they have come for 3 nights to eat the tiny bit of snack that you have put out for them, on night number 3, night number 4, that is when you wanna set your trap, and that is likely when you will catch your rodent. Once you have caught your rodent, you wanna put on some gloves and you wanna remove the rodent from the trap. Put the rodent in a bag, put it in your outside garbage, and reuse the trap.
And clean the trap.
Don't clean the trap.
Don't think.
no, sebum is useful.
The sebum and the smell of rat that will be on the trap will be useful.
Okay.
Because they won't be like, what is this?
They
They'll
won't
be like,
pick up.
"Hmm, what is this?
I'm surprised they don't
People
go
was just here.
ear nose.
No, they don't fear rat death, they don't smell rat death, they will smell rat and be like, "Ooh, there was a rat here."
Mm. See, I'm learning.
So now, working with a pest management company. In New York City, New York State as a whole, all pest control professionals must be licensed by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, New York State DEC. You want to look for a company that advertises integrated pest management or IPM services. Sarah, this is where that word was missing. It was integrated pest, I added it. Sorry. You wanna look for a pest management company that will inspect the entire property and provide a written report before quoting a final price. So you don't want a company that says, "I got you $40, right? Over the phone, on the website. You want a company that's gonna come, that's gonna take a look around and see and say, "This is what you need, this is how it's gonna cost," and you wanna come to an agreement in terms of treatment.
The property managers and owners.
You want a pest management company that's gonna provide, that's gonna have good references and positive reviews. You want a company that's gonna provide the right service plan and provide the right pricing. You wanna look for companies that are licensed, you can do so through the DEC website. A good company will educate you on treatment options based on your needs and your concerns. A good company will follow label directions. So in the world of extermination and the world of pest control, the label is the law. So like, you know, the instructions that you have on like a baking, I don't know if you all have noticed instructions on Windex, right? Those instructions on pesticides are the law for a pest control professional. So your pest control professional should be following those labels. Otherwise they're breaking their extermination law. You want a company that's gonna make referrals for structural repairs if they are required, and you want a company that will visit with you and visit regularly until the job is done and the pests are controlled. When you have hired a pest control company, when you have your pest control professional, you wanna make sure that whenever they are visiting, that you are there, that you are walking with them, that you are telling them what you're seeing, they're telling you what you're seeing. You wanna make sure that they're walking the entire area at every visit, not just the areas that they are treating. So you wanna have a communication with your pest control professional, you wanna be present, and you wanna be able to have that back and forth with them at every visit. Now, working with a pest control company and the different treatment methods. So there are baiting methods. With baiting, we use there is use of second generation anticoagulant bait, first generation anticoagulant bait. These cause, once ingested by the rat will not be able to coagulate the blood, right? Will thin the blood. And the rats will bleed out. With second gen and first gen as anticoagulant rodenticides, there is always the risk of secondary exposure. So when another animal consumes the rat that has consumed this SGAR, we call them second generation anticoagulant rodenticide, it then impacts that other animal that has consumed the rat, right? So there are ways that we are working around this. In New York City agencies are practicing use reduction. so that there is no impact on surrounding wildlife or the surrounding environment. We are doing this through IPM practices, right? The reduction of their access to food, water, shelter. Using safer alternatives, which I'll talk about when necessary to reduce to risk of people, to reduce risk to people, to pets, and to wildlife. To reduce the risk of secondary poison. So, alternatives, right? This is important also when you're looking to hire a pest control professional. You want them to offer you options and you want to be able to choose your option, but also you want to be educated, right? You want to know what you're kind of talking about. So with baiting, bait is usually anticoagulant rodenticides. There's carbon monoxide treatment. So with carbon monoxide treatment, we use the Burrow RX machine. It's this green machine over here, top right, that looks kind of like a lawnmower. With the Burrow RX machine, what we're doing is we are mapping out the burrows, collapsing all of the burrows but one. Into that one burrow, we are pumping carbon monoxide gas and smoke so that the rats are asphyxiated and die in the burrow without the risk of that secondary poisoning. We are also using carbon dioxide treatment. With carbon dioxide treatment, we are using carbon dioxide cylinders, very similar, same use as the Burrow RX machine. We're mapping the burrows, closing all but one, and pumping the carbon dioxide gas in the cylinders into the burrow system. Now, dry ice is the solid form of that carbon dioxide. With dry ice, as you're seeing on the picture on the bottom right, dry ice is placed into the burrow system. As the dry ice melts, it puts out that carbon dioxide gas, also asphyxiating the burrow in the burrows, the rat in the burrow system. Now, what we are currently doing, the New York City Health Department, we are piloting rat contraceptive, rat birth control. We are piloting, Mohammed, is it 4 different types?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Mohammed went out with our contraceptive team today. We are piloting, I think it's 4 different types of rat contraceptive. The contraceptive, there are varied forms. So there is a liquid, there is a pellet type of contraceptive. There are some contraceptives that look like sausage. And I'm not sure. I think, did you see anything else?
There's 2 of them, but.
Okay.
I mean,
Are they
the liquid is
specific?
Yes. Yes. So what the rat will consume will not impact, for example, a cat. Yes,
When they apply the carbon dioxide and they use the dry ice measure before it melts and it does the other method, if they eat it, they'll die. Like if they chew on that, they'll die.
likely they won't,
They
but
won't.
yes,
Okay.
they won't chew on it.
Okay.
In a like a basement situation where maybe the burrow is the wall or the earth next to a broken wall or
Mhm.
something. I know of a case in Brooklyn where they basically just flooded, they put it through the entire base.
Yeah,
So cleared out people, but
100%. So the label is the law, right? I mentioned that earlier. With carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, when used for pest control measures, they are required by law to follow the label. With carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide treatment, the limitation to this treatment is that they have to be a specific distance from a structure. So, in your case, or in the Brooklyn case rather, they were not following the label. So the label is the law. If you are looking to hire a pest control company, by law also, when asked, a pest control professional is required to provide you a copy of the label. So you can read that label and say, hey, you're not doing this properly, right? When you notice that a pest control professional is not going by the label, they are reportable. So, DEC, manages, enforces the legal law. So back to rat contraceptives. There's the different types of rat contraceptives. They work where they are placed into the bait box. The rat is expected to feed from what's in the bait box. But rats will not feed from the bait box, whether it is rat contraceptive or Esca or poison, if there is yummy, delicious garbage nearby, right? So I can hire a pest control professional because this room is infested with rats, right? I can hire the best. But if each and every single one of these garbage cans is open and has exposed garbage, I can have a bait box every 2 feet in this room. They will not eat that bait. They will continue to eat that garbage, which is why we are piloting in Community Board 9, where we are containerizing all garbage using those Empire bins.
Right.
So there's purpose and reason and collaboration. So rat contraceptive, very similar to human contraceptive, they have to eat it, and they have to eat it regular.
It has to be like a dose that is repeated, like it's
Yes,
not one time only, yeah. And it's mainly for the females, right? You know,
no, males too,
oh.
male and
that's
female,
nice.
right?
I'm glad.
Yeah, male and female. But we do have information on the rat contraceptive pilot if you're interested in the products and how it's going. It's on our website.
Are how, I mean, how are people signed up for this? I'm just curious if,
It came in through legislation
Right.
from Sean Abreu.
all right, that's my city councilman, as probably some, yes, for other people here, but, I'm just curious, were property owners required to participate or?
So I don't know,
Okay,
but I do know that
it was
they
more like
were
public.
invited.
Oh, they were.
Yes. I think that when these things occur, and I don't know if you know any more about legislation and when bills are introduced, but the contraceptive pilot came in through Sean Abreu.
Yeah.
And I know that they are invited.
Okay.
I don't know if
It'll be
they have
interesting,
invited.
hopefully we'll get some good data out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, because it probably needs to be adjusted, that's how most things are.
So we're almost at
Fine.
time.
I'm so glad.
And I'm gonna rush through these. But if you have questions. So at the Office of Pest Control Services, we respond to complaints, we conduct inspections, we teach the community, we go out into the communities. We share our data and we lead community groups, we lead the Rat Pack, we lead Rat Academy.
That was funny, the Rat Pack.
The Rat
There's
Pack.
certain stars of the past that
Oh,
were
yes,
called the Rat
yes,
Pack.
there we go. So the New York City Health Department promotes, enforces the New York City Health Code. The New York City Health Code, Article 151.2, indicates that it is states that it is the property owner's responsibility to follow the health code, right? Properties shall be free of pests. Well, waste shall be managed to prevent pests. Eliminate these conditions, address these conditions. The use of pesticides shall not substitute for pest management measures, meaning just that is not enough. So now our inspections. The New York City Health Department Office of Pest Control Services has inspectors who come out and do inspections of rats on the exterior and when granted access, the interior of properties. The inspector will look for signs of rats or conditions that rats favor. A property will fail if any of the following are present. So if our inspectors find rats, droppings, burrows, no marks, traps, runways, or conditions that rats favor, that property will fail. The New York City Health Department can inspect any and all properties. This includes city-owned properties as well as private-owned properties. So, schools, precincts, parks. We can inspect any,
Church.
New York City tax lots.
We got churches, property,
Yes,
Like you said, they also have to be permitted. The owner has to grant access.
for interior.
Okay.
Not exterior.
Okay.
So. When a city owned or managed property fails an inspection, that, of course, that managing agency will receive a referral letter indicating that they have failed. They are required to provide a response about remediation efforts to the New York City Health Department. These responses are reported to City Hall biannually. If a private property fails an inspection, the owner of that property, private property owner on record, will receive a commissioner's order to abate. This commissioner's order will say, we came to your house. We came to your property. On this date at this time, we found ABC at CDE location on your property. You are in violation of the health code. Here's my phone number, here's my email, call me if you have questions, I will be back. That's pretty much that's what the commissioner's order will say. If you receive a commissioner's order, we suggest that you contact the health department on compliance steps. If you need more time, if you don't know what it is, we always recommend that you contact us. Because this is kind of like a warning letter. This is telling the property owner, this is what we found, fix it. We're coming back to see if you fixed it, right? So this is their initial failed inspection, commissioner's order. So we come back for this follow, yes?
And when I get that first letter, how much the time period they allow to do this, fix this, be that, fix whatever they want.
The letter says we'll be back in 5 days.
Right.
But usually the turnaround is, I would say, between 20 and 40 days. But the letter says 5 days.
Not like we see, I mean, I'm just thinking again of the bodega example. You know, most of those people who own the shop are leasing the property. So,
It is a property owner's
so it still
responsibility.
goes all the way back.
It will go to the owner. Again, if it happens to be a food service establishment, it might be a little bit different.
Okay.
So your compliance inspection, right? Our inspectors are coming back to see if you're corrected the violation. If they see that you have, the inspection the inspection passes. If they see that you have not corrected the health code violations, the property will fail. The property owner will then receive a summons for a hearing at the Office of Administrative Trials and Hearings. This letter will give you a date, a time, and I think a phone number or site. If you can't make that date or time, there's also information about you being able to postpone the date, change the date. For failed rodent inspections, fines range from $300 to $2,000.
Do these become aggregated with like DOH violations or are they just in separate silos?
So they are in separate silos. However, if we see or notice a property that has multiple violations, sanitation violations, what we will sometimes do is we will do joint inspections where we will bring out HPG and we will bring out sanitation, or we will bring out other agencies to, I hate to say the words, but like hit them with the violations all at once. sometimes when we take that measure, it's more impactful and more likely to be remedied.
Do you think if we could get to a system where we might like say, we'll reduce your violation if you send all your property managers to take this class, or it's just that's a suggestion.
Incentive, right? Yeah,
Something.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Useful. So, thank
Your
you.
property owner.
So now I'll talk to if you're a property owner, right? So some of our resources, we have our website, we call it the Rat Information Portal, nyc.gov/rats. Our website is available in 30+ languages. You can learn tips, tricks, resources, you can look up properties. If anything, if you want to click anything today, take one of these, it has our website, it has our contact information. So lots and lots and lots of stuff on our map, on our website. We have the Rat Information Portal, which is the mapping tool. You can go to the map and see how your neighborhood is doing in terms of rat inspections. So green on the map is a past inspection. Purple on the map is a failed inspection, failed for other, meaning those conditions that are attractive to rats. Pink on the map are failed for rat inspections. You can click on any property within the 5 boroughs and see inspection history, inspection results. This is a great place to visit if you are concerned about rats in your area, in your neighborhood. If you're thinking of calling a 311 complaint, this is a great place to start to see if we've already got that property on our radar, if we're already working on that property.
They will, when it comes to the parks they have within the rest area, how they being checked. I find out about the parks, and they say not to invest any control on it.
This, let me go back. So the map, if you click on a property and it happens to be a park,
Okay.
it'll tell you the park. What you can also do is you can put the name of the park on the map. And it'll zoom you to that location. You can click on the park and it'll tell you, has it been inspected? When was the last time it was inspected? Once you click on a property, it'll bring you to a pop-up and it'll give you that information.
NYC Parks is effectively the owner of the park, so therefore
Yeah.
they become liable.
Yes.
for it.
Yes,
Right.
Yeah, so then it's like, we're finding ourselves taxpayer money.
so no. So when a city-owned property is inspected, when a park is inspected, they do not receive a summons or a fine. They receive a referral letter. So this referral letter will go to them, will go to parks from the health department saying, this is what we found at your park.
Okay.
And they are expected to send us back a report with remediation efforts. And this is gone over with City Hall biannually.
Because I have a in West End, I have a church, and the church is right next to the park, so that's out of control. The park, you know, investing coming into the church, and even though the church is gonna be fine, but it really was this,
Yeah.
grass wasn't from the church. So, you know, that'd be right.
You can definitely flag a park for us, so you can shoot us an email, or if you wanna write the name of the park down before we go. We can also provide you follow-up if we have any information about what's going on with the park.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. So we have, if you're into data, numbers, data sets, we have the environment and health data portal. You can see our rat complaints, a lot of data if you're into it, also available on the website. Now, reporting a problem, we recommend that you report rats or conditions by contacting 311. So this is a snapshot of their website. You can make a rat or a mouse complaint for a residential property, a food service establishment, subway, park, school, a tree bed. Tree beds are now being managed by parks. Before it was like a gray area, nobody knew who was responsible. But excuse me, tree beds are now the responsibility of the Department of Parks. So we have the Preventing Rats on Your Property guides. the one you're seeing on the screen is a redesign. But same information, this is just the older pictures. We have them available in multiple languages. If you're looking to get a bunch for a group, you can call 311 or contact us directly. You have my card about getting a larger number out. We have our posters and signage also available in multiple languages. We brought some and you all are welcome to anything on the tables. We are also on social media, so we have our social media handles on the screen, or you can search the web for social media, New York City Department of Health. Now, what can community groups do? And Luca, you're up next. Community groups can host Rat Academy, right? So we can come out to your area, to your neighborhood if you want us to come out.
May 9th.
Maybe. We'll
That's
have,
a Saturday.
we'll have to schedule dates. We'll
Okay.
see look at our calendars. So community groups can host a cleanup event and have us come and share information. Community groups can join the Rat Pack, which Luca will talk about. And the health department, our team is willing to come out to your health fairs, to your block parties, to your community group celebrations.
Actually, braces right there.
Yeah,
So we 2 weeks.
all know about how we can help the community. Luca?
Hi, everyone. My name is Luke Cassidy. I'm an AmeriCorps member, and I'm designed to kind of help out with the New York City Rat Pack. So, what is it? It's a group of people who care about rats, trying to solve that problem in the city. They work together to educate themselves and educate neighbors, volunteer throughout the city. So, how to join is simple. Step 1 is you have to do Rat Academy, which all of you have done. Step 2 is Rat One. Well, basically, you take everything you learn here in Rat Academy, and you get to go outside to the local neighborhood and apply it, and get to see how it actually plays out within your local streets. We have one coming up right here on April 9th from 12 to 1 p.m. It's gonna be a lunch break you're never gonna forget. But you can't make it to that one. That too as well. But if you can't make it to that, you can always go to our website at nyc.gov/rats and you can keep updated about future ones as well. Lastly, you have to attend NYC service event. It could be any NYC service event that's approved on their website, which you can find on the nycservice.org/volunteer. But we would prefer if it's something that involves cleaning up or getting rid of rats, but still anything does apply. Once you've done these 3 steps, we're gonna send out an email basically checking in with everyone to see it's done. And if you submit that email with the stuff done, we'll invite you to a ceremony at City Hall. You'll get a certificate showing that you're an official member of New York City Rat Pack. You get to pick some merch. You get to pick either the shirt or the hat. And then you're prepared to go out to your local communities and advocate for better policies and better actions to help the police rat. This is a big problem, so we need as much help as we can get, as much as we work with 2 people and also a department, but even an entire department can't solve this problem. It requires every New Yorker within the city. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, and we have Rat Pack flyers in the event that you are interested. We have, like I said, everything on the tables that you are welcome to. And that concludes our presentation today. We're 15 minutes over, so thank you all for your time. I will stick around for questions. And as far as bingo, there's no raffle. If you wanted to
Alright, taking 2.
you can take 2 home. Let me tell you how I know a man who took a garbage can home on a bicycle. Don't know how to. They fall.
Sounds right.
So if you got, you can take one
Here he works with your luggage, I guess.
Right. Mohammed, you're welcome to a bin if you want to take one to your home. And then, Genesis, you're welcome to a bin if you want to take one home as well. Oh, trash cans, yeah. So I'm gonna stick around, help yourself to the table. I'm gonna clean up while we chat or don't chat. Nice to see you.
Oh, yeah, I was at the last.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Honestly, it's.
Good to be back.
One of my questions is, right, so if you want to DUI, Is there, yeah, do the rat mitigation yourself?
Yes.
And like I told you, I'm making the beds, wide mesh.
And,
Are there any city agencies that give that away?
Here's what.
Wired mesh.
I think, we might be able to give gravel,
and I just,
but why don't you contact me, send me an email.
Yeah,
Send me an email because, you say you're at Douglas?
yes.
I think Douglas is one of our rat mitigation zones, nature properties that we focus on, so we can definitely provide support and continue the collaboration. And, so yes, Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Taylor.
So, yes, I know that we can provide some light, maybe get another can out to you. So, we can help, we can try, we'll provide. Yes, please shoot us an email. You're very welcome and it is so nice to meet you and thank you for sharing our.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Don't know the easier and, so, I have them and others, but thank you, I appreciate all of you.
Try to get it here or when I
Yeah.
guys come out, what I'm doing, I mean, I think soil testing.
I recognize
That's
I'm
it.
losing back.
At the clean energy hub should be there, might be like light refreshments.
May 9th.
May 9th is on a Saturday, you guys probably don't work.
No, we have staff, definitely shoot me the email with everything, and I will see how we can provide support.
Probably, CC, CLA Honorado, Jack O'Brien, Justin from the planning committee. She is our night working group.
Great.
So. Try to put you.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't understand. Well, it's 17. To reduce, and get back to my personal priorities, and stuff like that, you know. But always will be there for them, you know what I mean, but. It was a pleasure meeting.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully, you get some resources that I need.
I'm gonna stop. That Douglas is part of my zone. If not, it doesn't matter how to measure.
So those wooden pallets, I just want to say, they're not gonna be out there by themselves because I have some wooden the tops. I first want to get the. But I mean, wire mesh first, on gravel in between.
All that.
Plywood, and then build the bed on top of that. So that's hopefully that's a fully plan. And then paint them, make them hard. Okay?
Thank you for you do for your area.
For the dogs, rats and cats. They are.
Yeah, that's the, you take care of them.
Oh,
yeah, that's.
but we do the same thing, we put that out. You're gonna put it, just turn around. And then.
Okay.
But then, the other thing is,
I'm gonna see if I can take two, this, you think one would fit in the other? Now,
Maybe.
or you. Or could I come and pick the other one up at another time?
They do stack pants, take your wheels off.
Okay, let's see. I wanna do it in one, but.
that was their diversity effective.
As far as holding them, you would have to ask the community board.
Look. Oh.
That's really good, because right now we're going through.
Yes, take whatever you would like.
One state. So if I think we'll come back, another time to get in.
Community board, this isn't my space, you would have to ask, I'll ask Paola.
Yeah. See. It's still one of those.
Yeah.
So hold on here, yeah. Let me see.
That's
Okay. It can happen, when there's a will, there's a way.
Oh, yes. I've done, I used to scrap metal in Philadelphia and I was on a bike, I had so much on that bike.
I believe it.
With a Sharpie part, that the cop had to give me a ticket.
Oh, my God.
He said, probably all that metal you got and stuff, it'll pay for the ticket. Yeah. It was no street obstruction, he was just being, you know what I mean?
Now parks.
Thank you once again.
You're very.
Email no later than tomorrow.
Yes, we're teaching tomorrow virtually.
Oh, you can send it.
Okay,
Yeah.
like I said, I put you on my WhatsApp group, it's called Synergy Shady Garden, you'll see a link in there if you ever. Synergy Shady Community Garden.
Join WhatsApp group, or email.
Gotcha, okay,
Sorry.
thank you. Have a good one, everyone.
Yeah, I'm just.
Yeah. Yeah, also I missed my line. Is the materials here?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
Wakefield managed all Columbia buildings, dog farms, patient for the dog farms. It's.
Right. Yeah, that's the. And Mark. Yeah, so we're just, so much of it was oriented towards, it's beyond, beyond my control. Yeah, it'd be great if the property. Even higher, so yeah. Yeah.
I am, but.
One of numerous times. Other ones. Yeah, and like that was to me. Oh, yeah. That's actually. Where we.
Okay, you have, do you have an iPhone or you can scan the
Just spread out.
Okay.
And myself and another resident are sweeping it up. And,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
and I reported, and I reported.
Yeah,
And it's, and that's one time I reported, and one here, just before you one, already have the hours. And make evaluation of that. Yeah. But,
Yeah, Dr. Tammy has me informed on.
Do that. Anyway, it was very interesting. I'm not sure this is right.
Let's get a hat, put it in your room, it's something to bring out at parties.
Yeah.
One more crazy cat lady, so. Yeah.
Crazy
Make
cat.
the cat in the stuff, the cat,
Yeah. And these are bad too, they hurt my feet after a while.
Yeah. I broke out my braces.
I love them.
Yeah, how used to the dog run, that makes me sing. Oh,
Thank you.
I know I asked too many questions, but. Seem to be with
He's with NYCHA, but I think he came not representing NYCHA, but rather like his community group, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys can also, I think you have all of the sheets for the dates for Omni reimbursement. So if you want.
What was that? What was that?
Oh, really? There, my answer.
Oh, you're that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know what else.
Okay.
But if you need more Genesis, you might be able to add, depending on the dates on the sheet, today or.
Yeah, so they can be one, I think, step aside, I at least have to.
This is a
Take it back.
better,
Yeah, I'm okay, but they need to take it on the train with me.
I mean, that's better than the food containers.
Oh.
Do y'all have any data on how that's going so far? The food curbside food compost?
Oh, DSNY would be able to. do
Right,
that.
'cause, you know, it's not, I mean, as far as I know, it's not really composting because they're letting people put in.
It's just separation of food waste.
Exactly. And maybe I've taken it as, you know, kind of marketing to call it food composting. But like I said, our bin is, people are starting to do it. I'm the one who ordered the bench.
Sorry, 1 second. Mama, may you this? Ready?
You didn't have, oh, you.
I'm good. What's in the milk? Thank you.
Bible, they do it from read market, they do that.
I had a real food conversation. At the dog place, but it's hard to get people
The volume has
to only cook. Yeah, I'm not putting.
I'm gonna walk to my car.
Right.
Sorry, you're welcome to go.
Okay.
If you want.
I'm really hungry.
I'm stuck.
We had a,
You are I need to.
Yeah, my church up in.
I was very lucky, I was able to-
Yeah, but I was telling you about it. Right next to the park.
Happy to carry anything, put in my backpack.
But this is right, right?
This is, yeah.
Because I'm gonna do
Yeah.
everything.
That's the-
Monday. Guys, no, right?
They stop.
Yeah.
Monday.
There's a break.
Right.
I think.
All I really not know about is the feces, that certainly makes sense, but pigeon posters, that's the problem, though, they're mobile, they're mobile, and like you're saying. Oh my God.
I have tomorrow.
How do they call? So.
Okay, they'll bring them.
Yeah.
So whatever I need from the office, you'll bring them. Yeah, and I have more food stuff, I want much, I don't take these some.
I don't know how I can.
You can do that.
Well, they have that, they're Tuesday, right? So they send us the.
Glenn, Glenn is gonna come, Glenn is,
They are.
Glenn is gonna be there.
Voice it down with that.
That's too big.
son.
Then she will.
My son is not happy.
She says she.
I understand, but, you can come and eat whenever you want.
You play with.
100%. Yeah,
Garbage bag.
They're trying.
Was it about two parties?
I live about here, on 160
Oh, you was there?
Street,
Oh,
yeah, I
you
live
was
right,
there?
on 60 on the Riverside.
Riverside, oh. The people with folks over here today.
Boston.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. And it was really, I don't know about, y'all did.
Okay.
With the snow.
oh my goodness, and it's like,
So awful.
People listening, that would be up to go. Let them go.
Where they're like, oh, I wanna walk in snow, so I'll just let, I can let the dog off the leash. or
it's
whatever.
so bad, I mean, I have a dog and I wouldn't,
Yeah,
Never.
right.
I always clean up after my
You know,
dog, I don't.
you know, he's gonna drop something.
Some people won't raise, right?
He took you.
It's so
terrible. Well, that's what I'm,
But say they don't come in, they on block, they don't come, the next block, or the 2 blocks over, then they let the door through it there.
It's so bad.
yeah,
Yeah, that's not caring at all.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I,
right.
no, it's pretty. It's an online thing, but.
Thank you for the traffic on the east, but, you know. I think my.
On there.
Only one level of these as well. I know.
I'm so sorry for pigeons, because we brought them.
That's true.
Exactly.
Right. They're resourceful.
They survived.
Yeah.
You think it looks like the technical? Yeah. But don't forget it Monday, for Monday. Yeah,
All right, thank you, people.
goodbye, we'll see you again, I
Yeah, back on the train.
hope. Okay.
And I remember, yeah, I'm the assistant district manager, my name is Paula, and I'm nice to meet you.
Paola?
Yeah.
Leslie. That's, I know some people in some other communities.
Oh, okay, good.
Actually, Steve Simon on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Paola, is there a restroom? we can
Oh,
use?
of course, honey, let me show you. Skip one second.
Yeah, I can figure out how many, how many days.
Thank you, honey. If I can all.
One is really unrealistic.
I guess we'll keep these to the computer.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah. Are you taking 2 or 3?
Oh. I need two.
Okay, good.
I mean, I mean, we could use 3. Because we don't have any really trash cans at the, but, I just doesn't know how to
Okay,
do that.
well, that's it. It was so nice to meet you.
Yeah,
You have my card.
much.
No, never. It was a nice little group, so.
Yeah, I'm sorry to ask. We're such a 2 of us. No, I'm. Well, we have staff.
Yeah.
Oh, let me show you some. I know, it's like one of these shit. But. And these are just, these will only staff with that. I want to. And it's tons of different things. Yeah. And,
We're trying to go to the, you know.
That's why I never have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Well, once you got the hands of it, right? It's like,
Yeah.
it's, you know.
It's easy, it's easy to
Some churches really have to pick them up high, like in my church, I hate stacking them.
Oh,
Cause you
shit.
have to
Oh,
get them up.
shit, they're in trouble.
Oh, my goodness. I have.
It's like all hard working too.
Okay, so next slide. To. They are.
Wanda, you know you could use this room even if you have your own training,
Really?
Yeah, I meant that, sorry that I left for a moment, I'm starving, so I went to eat. But this room is available Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. During our hours, we lend it out to community partners and agencies and things like yourself. So if you pick up a few folks around here, you know, at a later time, please contact me and I can lend you the room again for another, Grad Academy. Or for whatever other, you know.
Thank you, that's good to know because we were struggling to find space. When we were working, but I don't even know what room it was, but thank you. Yes,
I wanted to let you
yes,
know
your
that.
room is beautiful.
Yes. It's too bad it's not bigger, but it accommodates.
No,
people.
definitely.
And I set this up like this, but if it has to be like, more discreet to put up a chair, I could do that too.
No, and we're always happy to come early and help set up.
Okay.
Today is just, now I know I have to come way earlier because of parking, my God.
Oh, around your parking lot.
I was even thinking about parking in the, hospital.
Oh.
Right? I don't know if there's any.
You're there finding.
Yeah, it's on the parking, yeah.
That's all it's like.
Yeah,
Save you a little bit of money, the
Yeah.
parking fees around here are
yeah,
also,
yeah.
like for a little bit, they're no joke.
Right.
Cause they know the hospital's there, so that's how they make their money. You stop to see somebody for 2-3 hours, they get you right away.
It's crazy,
Right.
it's nuts. But nice to meet you.
Likewise, I'm
Thank you
here.
so much.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
meeting as well.
Thank you for everything.
Oh, you go.
Yes, please.
Actually, if you wanna go, you can go.
It's your call.
Oh, that would be so nice, but I.
Who is it? I'll just play on my phone.
I will be happy. Let's go. Thank you so much. Oh my God. You're right. Goodbye.
Bye.
I'm not.
Yeah.
You have to.
This is not fun. Why is it?